Welcome to Casual Swinger. If you're under 18, the following podcast is not appropriate for you. The subjects and language are for mature audiences only. If you're not mature in nature, just make sure you're old enough to vote. We don't take ourselves seriously, ever. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any opinions or statements made on this podcast, our website, or our blog. It's all in fun, folks. This isn't Dr. Phil. Now, consider yourself, the listener, properly advised.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Casual Swinger. It's episode 6, The Naked Truth, Raw and Uncensored. What do you think of that, dear?
I love it.
Yeah, this is a big episode for us. We're super excited. It's a special episode, something that we haven't done before, which, we've been talking about doing this for a while. And I think initially we thought maybe it was going to be a segment and turned out being the whole damn show, right?
It did, and we had so much fun doing it.
Yeah, it was super cool. We're definitely going to have to do it again. And I think we might have turned Frank and Sheila into podcasters.
Yeah, they were totally on board with being special guests again, and I would love to have them.
Well, we're going to tell you guys more about the naked truth here in a couple of minutes. But before we get into that, Mallory, why don't you tell folks what we've been up to?
Oh, so much lately. So we ended up at Secrets for a Halloween party a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. Everyone looked amazing and the club was packed. We went on a date night, which went fantastic. Met a great couple locally. I'm very excited about that as well. And we have some big news when it comes to travel.
Oh, we do, don't we?
We do. So, everyone out there, we have a February trip to Hedonism II opened up. We'll be traveling with Rachel's Rascals. And if you'd like to travel with Casual Swinger, please go to our website and sign up under Travel With Us.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys haven't been on our website lately, go check it out. We have a brand new section called Travel With Us. And, there's a lot of other podcasts, websites, groups out there that they monetize in different ways. And maybe they do Patreon or they do, whatever. That's not really our bag. We're not trying to make money at this. If you want to travel with us, you book with the same people we do. We book with Rachel's Rascals. So I put a link up there. That link, when you fill it out, it goes to us and it goes to our friend Jim at Rachel's Rascals. So we don't make any money off of this. It's not an affiliate link. It's just one of those things where we thought maybe our friends and our listeners might want to actually go where we go and party with us. So that's a way to do it.
Yeah, and I love that idea. So I'm looking forward to hopefully some listeners signing up, making new friends and connections, and getting away from the winter. Not that it gets very cold here in Florida, but...
Oh, God, right. Yeah. I think, the other morning it was, 68, and I had a sweatshirt and sweatpants on.
I know you've acclimated. I'm so proud.
I'm a true Floridian, but I wore flip-flops.
Yes, you did. And then, so the other big news would be the Naked Truth episode.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Naked Truth. What is the Naked Truth? So lots of podcasts out there do interviews. They have people in studio. They go see people. And for us, we thought we'd do something a little different. So here's the format for the Naked Truth. We give the people we're going to interview some parameters. We give them an interview sheet that Mallory made up, right?
Yep.
And that sheet lets them pick 2 things they won't talk about. And other than that, everything is on the table. So pure, unadulterated, raw and uncensored naked truth. But what else is naked about it?
Us and them. The only thing you're allowed to wear during the interview is a name tag.
That's it. They are ass naked when we do these interviews. So we are ass naked. They are ass naked. And I got to tell you, it was a little disconcerting to sit across from Frank while he sat there and played with his cock the whole time we talked to him.
That was fantastic. Actually, I think when we got there and Frank greeted us with a naked hug, he was ready to go.
Oh, he was naked when we got there.
He was.
Yeah, so we actually went to Frank and Sheila's place to do this interview, which was over a little further in South Florida. And we learned some things about these. We've known these guys for a few years.
We have, and it feels like a lifetime, which is a great thing about meeting people in the lifestyle. There's that deep connection, and I feel like I've been friends with them my entire life.
Right.
But yeah, they did reveal a few interesting things we did not know about him.
Right off the bat, when he leans over, and so these guys are going to Hedo with us here next week. And everybody that's going to Hedo, as far as the girls go, is holding off for that last wax before they go, which means There's some hairy bitches around this pool.
I can't believe you're calling us out. Yes, it's the week before, so we get waxed on Thursday. So the bushiness was not all just the foliage that surrounded us outside of Frank and Sheila's.
It was so funny because Frank leans over and takes a giant snort off of Sheila's armpit. And I was like, wait a minute, what was that? And it was one of his kinks that was revealed while we were there, right?
Yeah.
So this is part of what's coming up. You guys are going to hear this whole interview in its entirety. But one of the kinks that didn't really come through, because I didn't really react to it in the moment because I wasn't sure what I was witnessing, is it turns out he's got a kink for the smell of a woman and the
Yes,
odor
he
of a woman.
does. The all-natural version of a woman.
Oh, yeah, and he loves the hair and everything
Yeah.
else. So Sheila's sitting there in all her glory, and she's gorgeous. The picture, if you didn't see it, I did a teaser picture of Mallory and Sheila on Instagram and Twitter this week to let you guys know this episode was coming. But she's gorgeous. Mallory's gorgeous. It was a very good day for us, but the girls had some fur down below.
Yeah, we did. And we rocked it.
Oh, they did. It was still hot, and it was so cool. But that's the cool part about Naked Truth, right? It was completely unadulterated, just bedlam. And when I by bedlam, I mean there were dogs barking, there were planes going over, there were cars going by.
Yeah, we did the interview outside, so there's going to be some peripheral noise. It's not the same quality you're used to when we're in studio, but trust me, folks, it's so worth it. Highly entertaining, and a good listener question segment that we did with them.
Which was really the whole point, right, of bringing Frank and Sheila into this episode. Frank and Sheila live pretty much on the opposite end of the political spectrum from us, even though we tend to be middle of the road type folks, like listen to everybody, care what everybody has to say. We're very positive folks. They are more polarizing. And we had a listener question come in a couple weeks ago about what happens when you find out that someone in the lifestyle is on the opposite end of the political spectrum for you. So I said, you know what? Let's go to our favorite, crunchies, Frank and Sheila, and let's ask this question. So we did. We had a discussion with those guys about what happens when you have political differences. It was a great discussion to cap off our visit with Frank and Sheila, and we really think you guys are going to enjoy it. And it may give you, especially this day and age, in this social climate, a little bit of perspective. So next time we get together here on Casual Swinger, it's going to be what? Thanksgiving?
It is. We're releasing our next episode after this one, episode 7, the day before Thanksgiving, which I am very excited about. It gives all our listeners something to listen to while they're stressing over, cooking and family and all the happenings that week. So hopefully we'll entertain you and take away some of that stress and give you a few laughs.
Oh, I've been on my keto diet for like 3 weeks, so food sounds really good to me right now.
I can't wait to eat all day on Thursday that week. But something we're going to be doing in that episode is 10 things to be thankful for in the lifestyle, which I think you guys are really going to enjoy.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, we're going to talk about the recap from Hedo, some live interviews from the zoo, which is going to be fun.
Yes.
And last but not least, we've got a Twitter battle that you guys should keep up on. That Twitter battle, and we can talk about it now because they're not going to hear this. But actually, no, they will. We can talk about it a little bit. We have a Twitter battle coming up next week at Hedo, and you guys should pay attention for that. The hashtag you should look for is Hedo versus Desire 2018. So that's hashtag Hedo versus Desire 2018. Our friends from Swinging Down Under are going to be on the resort the same week we are. We are going to be with the average swingers at Hedonism. So Jay and Angie, shout out to you guys. Yeah, what's up? So we're going to hang out with Jay and Angie, and the Swingers Down Under and a few other podcasters are going to be at Desire.
That's true. And we also have the Bliss Cruise stopping by for a day.
Oh, yes, we do.
During our pool party, which is going to be amazing.
So there's going to be some epic shit happening on social media next week, guys. Don't miss out. Please participate in the fun. We are looking forward to it.
Yeah, actually, my ask of you guys is if you're following us on Twitter during this battle, post your pictures too.
Yeah, we want to see what you guys got. So we're really looking forward to this. So speaking of what you guys got, Mallory, why don't you tell everybody where they can reach out to us, where they can find us?
All right, guys, you can find us at www.casualswinger.com. And don't forget, if you have any questions or want to contact us directly, it's podcast@casualswinger. And you can find us as Casual Swinger everyone else. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Cassidy, and SLS.
Absolutely. So she's, I think I say absolutely every time she does it because I'm so impressed that she remembers everything. Kind of like that waitress that remembers all the specials and the entire menu, and you just kind of look at her with your mouth open going, how do you remember all those things?
Well, also keep in mind you're the guy sent to the grocery store to get bread, and you come back with 30 items that are not bread.
And no bread.
And no bread. Exactly.
Yeah. So there's a method to my madness, guys. That's how not to get sent to the grocery store by Mickey Casual Swinger. But hey, let's get into the episode without further ado. This is the Naked Truth. And hopefully you guys enjoy this, and you'll come back and join us at Thanksgiving for episode 7. But enjoy our friends Frank and Sheila and learning a little bit more about political division. You guys are listening to Casual Swinger. Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever Naked Truth with us here at Casual Swinger. I'm Mickey.
I'm Mallory.
And we've got a couple of special guests for you here today. We're sitting poolside in the breeze here in Florida. It's like 70 degrees, so it's probably the worst day ever of the year to do this. But we said, hell with it, we're going to give it a go. We've got some guests here for you, and Frank and Sheila. Say hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Welcome, guys. We're so excited to have you. Thank you for joining us today.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what the Naked Truth is. The Naked Truth is a special segment that we're going to do every once in a while for you on Casual Swinger. And it's an interview format where we're going to talk to swingers like you, about you, the things you do, the places you go. And we're going to hear some of their special stories. But there's a couple of twists to the Naked Truth. Mallory, you want to tell them what those twists are?
Sure. So the first twist is this interview is done completely naked, which is awesome because I love my naked folks.
Yeah, I've got naked people around me right now. Everybody is ass naked.
And it's also a metaphor. This is unfiltered, real conversation between 4 people here. The only other rule is no questions off limits. You guys got a pre-interview form, and anything that was listed there we're not going to discuss, but everything else is fair game.
Yeah, so unlike some of our future interviewees, you guys chose not to fill out the form. You're like, fine, we're just going to tell you guys whatever you want to know,
awesome. Right? Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty cool. But this is the Naked Truth, and that's what it's all about. So anybody that's interested in joining us for the Naked Truth, keep in mind, you got to be ass naked with nothing but your name tag. So that's kind of how this goes, and I'm sitting with 3 beautiful naked people to get into our format a little bit today. So how often are we going to do it? We'll probably do it every couple of months or as often as we've got good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about Frank and Sheila, right? So who are you guys? Tell us about yourselves a little bit, maybe how long you guys have been swinging.
I've probably been swinging since 2002.
Wow.
Nice.
Did you just date yourself?
To a degree, perhaps.
You started in high school, right?
I started when I was 6.
Yeah. It was however the relationship got to it. We went to a club it was in the Northeast. There was a not a premise on-site club, but where you get to meet people, and
right.
That's where it started from. And
awesome.
From there, we went to house parties and different things. Never did a trip with that person, to any destination, but we did some of that, and
awesome.
that's how I started.
Yeah, so who drove the conversation? Was it you or was it her?
I'd probably me to start.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd have to say me.
That's a question I always ask lifestylers is whose idea was it? Because I've heard both.
It was maybe a 60-40. It was not. It was like, as soon as the subject was broached, the interest was piqued.
Nice.
Right. So it wasn't, oh my gosh, and
like ours.
Yeah.
Which was
like, what the hell are you talking about?
Pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
No. It was, well, interesting.
Let's do
love
this.
it.
And it was pursued.
How about you, Sheila? How long have you been swinging?
It's been about 10 years, and I can't call myself really a swinger, honestly. I would say I'm in the lifestyle, certainly, and open to the lifestyle, and have had some experiences, but my first experience was going to Hedonism, our favorite place.
Yeah.
Yay!
Whoop. See you in a week.
And I actually don't know how I ended up there. It was my partner at the time who suggested the place based on somebody he knew from work, and she was in the lifestyle. She went to clubs and things like that, and they had dated in the past also. And he's like, "What? Let's go to this resort." And I'm like, okay. And I've always been comfortable naked, and I don't think I really understood what hedonism was before I went there. Maybe I did. I don't know. Looking back, I'm surprised that I actually agreed to it. I'm so happy that I did, because I met the best people there, best friends, and have had some interesting experiences as well. And that's kind of, where I got started. I've never been to a club. I've never really pursued swinging much outside of hedonism, honestly, until recently.
So you're definitely a casual swinger then.
Yes.
It's all organic for you.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
I don't know that I know anybody that likes sex more than Sheila.
That is true. That is true.
I will attest to
or
that.
masturbating.
Yes.
Listen.
You were a chronic masturbator.
How about you, Mallory?
Guilty as charged. I think that's why we get each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Both of these girls own rideable vibrators. So
Yes.
one's a motor bunny, one's a Sibian, right? So you guys are in the game.
Yeah,
so.
we're serious about our masturbating.
Yes, absolutely. We've invested lots of time and money in these devices, and
Right.
it's just for research,
Yeah,
science.
Yes, yeah.
I
All
think
in
you
the name
guys
of
should have a
science.
ride-off at some point.
Oh.
Oh, I think Mallory would win that one.
Well, then we need categories.
It sounds like a
depends.
challenge.
It depends,
Right.
what the categories are.
Duration,
How wet things
amplitude, moisture level,
Volume.
quantity,
Quality.
number of, there's many
So,
things.
does Sheila win when she squirts? Is that?
Oh, that's true. She is a squirter.
Squirt's an amazing thing.
I really think you guys ought to have some kind of a ride-off or something, or maybe a race, or
I'm down. Let's do it.
no,
We just need to decide, how do you win?
right?
It's true. We need metrics.
Right. So
There's
what are-
multiple, there's divisions you have to have. Fastest, most, volume of wetness, there's a number of things.
Yeah.
Volume of sound, right? There's many things.
Speaking
There's
of
a lot
wetness,
categories.
she could just squirt all over it. That'd be fine.
Well-
Sheila squirts.
Oh, yeah.
If
Do you squirt
If.
on the Sibian?
I absolutely. It's like a fountain.
oh my,
That's why I have this lovely mat to do it on.
Oh, you have a mat? We need to get you a mat.
It's
Do we know what?
It's on the website.
I have yet to squirt, but I'm looking to try.
Okay, so we can find you a guy named Matt to squirt on.
There you go.
right. Well, there's instructions. I can
There are.
coach.
Oh.
All right.
And actually, there's somebody that we know who owns a tattoo shop that he's a master
Yeah.
of making
Yeah.
somebody squirt.
I
No
didn't
kidding.
think that's not what I thought was going to come after master.
Right? Oh, no, not me. I've been a master debater for years. But so let's get back to what we're really talking about
Yes.
here on The Naked Truth. So in this interview, we find out more about people like Frank and Sheila. So let's talk a little bit about you guys, or a lot of bit about you guys, however much you want to say.
Yeah.
Right? Let's start by talking about you, Frank. How'd you get into the lifestyle?
It was, a few eons ago in 2002, relationship I was in, very sexual woman and myself, and pursued.
That's always a good thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. No, and first squirter, by the way. I learned a lot, but we went to a off-premise club. Just you could go meet. It was sexy music, and it was a lifestyle club takeover at this really cool bar. And we would go and met some people, and from there learned of websites and going to house parties. Some were good, some weren't good.
Right.
But it was the introduction to the lifestyle, and
Right on.
what do you like?
Yeah.
And who started that conversation? Who brought it to the table?
I probably did, I have to say.
Okay.
It was
Nothing
very
wrong
well
with that.
received, though. It was not, there wasn't shock or, oh, how could you think that? There was no convincing. It was like, oh, that sounds cool, right?
That's way better than what happened to us.
Yeah.
So much better than what happened to us.
Right?
No, and seriously, it was. I mean, that sounds cool. And I was like, all right, win-win.
Okay, so Sheila, how about you? Was it your idea?
It probably was not my idea, and it started with Hedonism, our favorite resort.
Yeah.
My partner at the time thought it was a good idea to go based on a recommendation from somebody at work who was more actively in the lifestyle. She went to clubs and things like that. and she had been to the resort before. It's somebody he had dated in the past as well, so I'm sure that was part of the reasoning behind it. But so we went to Hedonism. I didn't really know what to expect, and I probably didn't realize how much of a swinger-oriented resort it is.
Can be. Anyway.
Yeah, can be.
That's what I'd say.
Definitely
Say
can
too.
be.
Can be.
But I've always felt comfortable being naked, and I'm like, let's do it. Let's see what it's about. And I remember actually our first time when we went to the nude pool bar, we had, some clothes on. I had shorts and a tank top, and he had, shorts and a t-shirt on. And we look around, and everybody's naked, and we're like, oh, okay. And we just stripped down. And we're like, that's how it is here.
Well, so tell me something, and we know each other, obviously.
Yes.
So tell me, you said at one point that I don't consider myself a swinger, but I consider myself lifestyle. What do you feel like the difference is?
I think that's when you at least call yourself a swinger, that means that maybe you're more actively pursuing other partners outside of your primary relationship, whether it's together or separately or whatever. I have always kind of been more about something happening naturally, meeting people you like, and if things go that direction, then that's fine. But it's never something that's on my mind where I see somebody, I'm like, oh yeah, this needs to happen, or that's not, we're going to hedonism or anything. It's not my goal.
You're pretty much labelless. And you like things to happen organically, and you're pretty much what we would call a casual swinger.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, it's the perfect, it's, and even, swinger, it can have the negative connotation in the vanilla world.
Oh, sure.
Right?
I mean, think about how it was viewed in the 70s.
Yes. Well, that's what makes me, when I think of swinger, I think of the key parties and things like that.
And it has happened. It may happen again, probably will, but it's more about, are we open and free and enjoying? And, to be part of the lifestyle, there are things that people are into that you probably never be into.
Sure.
But you understand that that's what they're into.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes us way more inclusive than exclusive.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about how we met each other and how you two met.
Well, so we met each other, again, at our favorite resort, Hedonism.
It's a running theme here, folks.
Running theme.
And we were undecided on this. We had this discussion a week or so ago of how many years ago we met, whether it was 4 or 6, so I want to call it 5, but it just seems longer than 4. Right?
Yes.
It
Do you
probably
think that's
is
a byproduct of the resort? Like, that the relationships feel so much more visceral?
You get to people's core a lot earlier.
And
sometimes
it's so laid
immediately,
back.
Yeah.
right? And that's the interesting thing with just being naked.
Right, because you don't have clothes to judge somebody by. Everybody's very open to socializing. You see somebody at the bar and you strike up a conversation immediately. Whereas, in the
If you're in clothes in the street bar, you're just waiting for your drink. You're not going to engage that person.
Yeah, it's your mask.
Then it's like, hey, how are you? Where are you from? Right? Yeah, we're on vacation, but there's something special about the whole being nude and being.
Are you allowed to notice
accepting.
that she has great tits?
Yes, and you can compliment them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you can say those are really great. I love the tattoo on your ass, right?
Yeah.
And it's not how else do you want me to say that,
Yeah.
right? And that's the nice thing. It's so much of what we deal with in life is gone when you take off the clothes.
So,
Yeah.
Right?
Like
it can
you said,
happen. It can happen in our backyard. It can happen at a famous resort. It can happen wherever you learn how to shed that.
Yeah.
So it helped you get to the core of the matter faster. And speaking of getting to the core, I got to Mallory's core this morning.
Oh yeah, that sounds very good.
I'm sitting a little funny.
Yeah, sitting a little funny.
A little bit.
I was
A little
working
off
on
to the
that
left.
this morning, but I don't know, Sheila. When's the last time he got to your core?
Actually, it's been a few days, which is unusual.
Extremely unusual.
Extremely.
What's wrong with you? Are you guys in a bad place right now? Is this
Oh,
a bad time to
No.
record?
Between work and travel, between our schedules, and
we get that.
it was.
Don't lie to me. You're going to knock the bottom out of it this afternoon.
Oh,
aren't you?
yes.
probably.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to the more fun part. We love telling a little bit of an origin story here. We love talking about how people get together. But I am interested in getting into your heads. right? That's really what I'm interested in,
Bring it.
right? Heads, beds, it all sounds the same, right? So tell me a little bit about, and remember, this is the naked truth. So when we talk about this, remember, everything on Casual Swinger is about positivity and having a good time. So if you hear something on here that sounds like it's a little not PC, we're just having a good time. We love everybody. We're everything positive here on Casual Swinger. But I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer honestly. So we're going to start with Sheila, because it's always ladies first.
Yeah.
What turns you on?
Well, I discovered recently, actually, that I like to watch Frank masturbate. And
Can you say that louder for us?
I like to watch Frank masturbate.
Oh, boy.
So we had, a night where I'm like, you know what? I want you to just do what you would normally do. Pretend I'm not here. I'm just going to watch.
So naturally, he jerks off.
No, it's like, hang on, let me get my computer, right?
I said, I don't want it to be a wank. I want it to be a session.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
Do you have a masturbation station?
A couple. Yeah. And then a few special ones, yeah. So, it all depends on what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
I gotcha.
All right, so midgetsrus.com. All right.
But so it was very interesting. In the beginning, actually, it was a little bit boring insofar as, for men, a lot of times they watch porn. I personally don't watch porn ever. I just typically am not really
I'm
into
the same
it.
way. I love my imagination much more than
And
what I can find
I
online.
honestly even don't need my imagination so much. It's more about paying attention to the feeling and just how things are. So he's, flipping through different things on his iPad. I'm like, all right, this sucks actually to be a guy when this is
Because I
apparently
get
what you
bored.
need.
I'm like, this is going good. No, that's this lame. And
Doesn't
then
that
gone,
suck?
and it's like, no.
if-
You're like, maybe, now I'm done.
If
And
they knew how long it took us to jerk
Oh
off,
my
because
God.
it's 2 hours of looking for porn in
it's
2
looking
minutes
for
once
the
you find the right
ones.
one.
There it is. It's looking for the right one. I don't want to waste this. I'm jerking off. It can't just be wasted, right? So, yes.
And then I actually fell asleep at one point briefly.
That doesn't surprise me with you. Not only is she a champion squirter, but she's also the nap queen.
she can
I am the
nap like a queen.
Oh,
yes.
5 hours minimum.
All right, so tell us how it went.
So then, then he got into his zone, and then I start touching myself, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm coming.
It was seriously, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? She was like 1, 2, 3, and she's coming, and that's a hugely unusual experience.
Yes, because
That's
I've actually
fantastic.
never done that with just my natural born hands. It's always been with a vibrator or something like that. I've never had an orgasm like that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing.
Gold star.
So you had your first hand orgasm
Yes.
at this age.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good
All
for
right,
you.
check you
It was-
out. And by watching him stroke his root.
I know. So
Yeah.
It was very
I mean, so
exciting.
it's really fun just going, what do you like? What don't you like? How
Yeah.
can we, what do you
The
want to
disco-
feel about this?
The
You know?
discovery. The discovery
And
is awesome.
we're discovering things about, I didn't know I really like, oh yeah, I really like that.
Okay. So your turn to answer the same question, Frank. What
Repeat
turns you
the
on?
What turns me on? Oh my God.
Stinky armpits.
Oh, there's so many
Hair.
things. I love, I love a woman. I love a woman. And so, like, when she has her, X number of days underarm growth, I love it. Because I'm celebrating her womanhood. I love
You
when
are
she
a
smells.
dirty
I am
bastard
a
for
You are
dirty
dirty.
bastard. I am a very dirty bastard. I love that she squirts, right? And the thing is, you have to be careful with that. It can't be a goal. It just has to be that
has
it's
to
going to happen, right? So I can't go in.
Just let it happen.
Can't go in trying to make, I want her to squirt, right? Because maybe that can physically, but it has to happen. I love celebrate. What turns me on is celebrating her. And the amazing thing with us is, like, she kisses me and it's like, all right, game on, right? It doesn't have to be anything more than that.
Yeah.
She can tell me how much she loves me or something, or that, this, and it's game on.
There's a saying that my grandmother used to tell me that
God.
the secret to happiness is not getting what you want, but wanting what you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is this the same grandmother that had plastic on her couches? I'm just wondering.
Oh, they all have
Yeah.
plastic on their couches.
And now we know why.
I appreciate
Yeah, right.
why. It's like, oh yeah, that couch, the new couch was, in a day and a half. Yeah, okay. Yep, it's been christened. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Squirt,
yeah,
squirt.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things about the Naked Truth that you guys are going to find out here in about 10 seconds is that when we ask a question, it is not a one-way street. Our guests get to ask us questions. So, Naked Truth, quid pro quo. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, why don't you tell us about your lifestyle story? Because we haven't heard it.
That's a true statement.
Oh, well, so our listeners have heard our lifestyle story.
Well, that's
You can give a briefer
brief
synopsis.
overview,
Yeah.
and we'll follow up from there.
So we were dating long distance at the time, and it was one of the trips he came down to see me, and we had a real great night. It was super romantic, and literally, like, you're into each other, staring at each other's eyes, and he goes, "You'd make a great swinger." And I about shit my pants. Because I went from 1,000 miles an hour, oh my God, I'm falling so in love with this guy, and then he wants to fuck everyone, and like, what are you talking about? And it was a turning point in our relationship. It was a make or break.
Not the smartest thing I've ever done.
And it ended up obviously working out,
Right.
but it was not the best introduction. I did a lot of research and asked a lot of questions, and
Mind you, she had
it was
tried to
worth
arrange
it.
a three-way for me with one of her friends at that point, so I thought it was game on.
Oh, we know that she also likes women. So.
Oh, I love women.
yes.
Oh, I'm bisexual to the max, like squared. Yeah.
So that happened, and it was some time before we actually played.
Yeah.
It was quite a while before we really got to that point, because she definitely said, I don't think I want to sleep with somebody else just yet. So it was maybe even a couple of years before we got to that point.
It was a traditional monogamous mind frame that I had, and that's because that's how I was raised. Like,
Well, and I think most people are. That's what, you meet the prince, and then you get together, and you live happily ever after, and
that's
you know,
it.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
Maybe have a couple kids, whatever.
And then you and the prince are fucking a couple of friends on a
I
Saturday
know,
night.
the Earl and the Duke.
Yeah.
So, and the Baron.
Yeah, so that's the
Don't forget the Countess.
Don't forget the
That's
and
the
the
abridged
stable
version.
boy.
So then, what are you guys up to now?
Oh,
Because I feel like you guys are maybe turning over a new leaf, have some new developments that we haven't heard about.
Yeah, that is true.
That is definitely true.
Mickey, why don't you answer that question?
So, well, what are we up to? Let's see. Well, we're obviously hitting, we have a podcast, so we meet lots of people through the podcast, through the club, right? We were at Secrets last weekend, and we went on a date last week. That was kind of interesting.
I
So,
know. Well, went very
went
well.
very well. They were super cool. She was super cute, so that was a lot of fun. But we're as far as casual swingers go, we tend to take it a little slower and make sure that we can make friends with those people first, because the friendships that we create are more important to us than the notches on the bedpost.
Yep, we agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we tend to take it a little slower, and then once we know that there's some compatibility there, then I start thinking about the faces I can make her make.
And it truly is about compatibility. If there isn't a click, and it's hard with with four-way to get that to work.
Four-way dating can
Four-way
be
dating's
pretty tough.
And that nobody has to take one for the team, anything like that, where it's a good four-way.
It's hard enough with two people to find somebody that you like to be with.
The worst 5 words in the lifestyle: taking one for the team.
And
Everybody says they won't, but everybody has a story.
yeah,
I think it's going to be a podcast for us one day. We're going to talk about it.
You try not to, and you don't want that for anybody.
You have a question for them, right, Mallory?
I do. I think everyone, we just talked about what turns you on. I think everyone has a dirty little secret, a little kink in there that we don't, always talk about. So I want to know what's yours.
Oh,
This is
Frank, do you
this
wanna
is it.
start?
Naked Truth time, kids. You really should have filled out the form.
well, we were just talking about this, but we probably won't share those secrets. Honestly.
No, not those.
There's probably
That's not
multiple
pertinent
ones.
to this.
No.
Did it involve
No.
banjos?
No,
No
not at all.
banjos.
Not at all.
Okay.
There was some
Not-
scissoring in my past
Well,
at a young age
we
that I had blocked out of my memory. I'm like, oh, I did this.
That
Okay.
it was interesting to hear that story. Yes.
So you first this time, Frank. What's your
dirty little secret? What's something that gets your motor running, or something that has happened?
The fun thing, I don't do a whole lot of playing at home, right? And I like it more on vacation. It can be part of that. But the fun thing is getting when I can see that there's somebody new to X, whatever it is, whether it's taking off their clothes, whether it's having somebody, a girl or a guy, eat them, lick their pussy by the pool, something like that, that's really fun for me is getting the first getting people to
involved.
To do that thing. And what people like to refer to me like, oh, I like to get pissed on. It's like, okay, it is fine and it feels good, right? And it does feel good, and I recommend you trying it. But the thing is, I get more turned on getting somebody to do it for their first time, right?
Well, that's the first time you met Mallory. The first time you met Mallory, you walk up and you did this little thing with your hands in front of your face.
So you guys can't see Mickey and Frank over here, but they have their hand raised kind of like a high five, and then they're trickling down their fingers across their body.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What are you doing? And they go, he wants a golden shower. And Mallory looks at him like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, actually, my first question was, what the fuck is that? I had no idea.
It was out of this world funny, and of course now, Frank's one of our best friends, so we got a great laugh out of it. And that is definitely one of your dirty secrets.
It is a dirty secret.
It's not a secret, though.
It's not
Everybody
knows.
And somebody actually tried to steal it, and that became.
But you stole it from somebody else.
But he didn't take it to the level that I did, right? So
you're a next level golden shower
It was
guy?
like, it was just like, all right, that's a good process. Let me fix that, and I just took it. And,
I mean, there was one trip that there were 4 girls in the shower with Frank, all pissing on him at the same time, and he loved
that
it.
is next level piss.
Yeah. So,
and then there was another trip where Frank brought me drinks on demand just so I would have to go.
Yes. I kept feeding her drinks because the next time you need to pee, you need to come with me.
Yes, I do.
All right, that's spectacular. So, all right, Sheila, it's your turn. Give it to us. What is your dirty secret? What's the thing that most people don't know?
I think actually that it's another turn on of mine that I've discovered recently, that I actually like watching 2 guys together.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it was a secret for me too. I just found it out.
That'll make you popular in the LGBT community.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where I hang out all the time.
Yeah.
So.
That is, yes.
Right. Well, you are a resident unicorn, so.
Well, not anymore.
That's true. Wow.
Look at that. She's transcended the unicorn status. Okay, so one more time. So, unbridled naked truth question for us. What do you got?
That's a tough one.
Take your time. Nobody's masturbating right now.
But we can be.
Yeah.
Hold on. We'll get to that later.
Well, I'll be doing
A little surprise for the toy box.
Yeah, right. There's a shocker. What's coming in the toy box?
I see what you did there.
Well, why don't we throw it back at you and tell us your favorite turn-ons?
Oh, favorite turn-ons. Why don't you take that one first, Mallory?
Oh, my favorite turn-on. So I've had a recent development, and this is all fantasy-based, but I would love the opportunity to be in the next room or nearby while you were having sex with another woman in the shower. I think the last 3 or 4 masturbating sessions I've had.
Wow.
Taken, like,
is that a challenge for you?
it's like
Challenge accepted, people. You heard it here first.
like,
I'm taking applications.
I could hear the water splashing, and it kind of sounded like the water when it passes through, like the legs and the ass, and like it's slapping together.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh, that would be so. And like it was over. So I did it 5 or 6 more times, of course.
Of course.
So,
Why not? You only
yeah.
live once.
Yeah, that's
and
mine.
you only orgasm about 10 times a session. So.
Right?
Wow. Let's see. So what's mine? I mean, it's. She already knows what it is, right?
get it hard.
No, I'm just kind of.
That's just your giant dick.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so my turn on. What's my turn on? It's pretty much not a secret. I love when she gets fucked. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, it's super hot for me. Especially if, like, she has something she wants to do, like, on her own. Like, when she wants to, that's when it's hot. Like, when it's her idea. Not because I want her to, not because I think this is cool, not because it's what's happening in this moment.
Yes.
If she comes to me and says, I've got a thing I want to do, I'll see you in an hour. That's just...
And I think that's really cool. I mean,
super hot.
that's part of, the interesting part about the lifestyle is that in some ways your relationship can be stronger because of the things you do with other people.
We had a recent trip. We were in Canada and we saw a bunch of friends, and somebody introduced me to the term compersion.
Yes.
Let's talk about compersion.
Yeah,
first.
I love that word.
It's a super ideal if you're in this lifestyle in any way, shape, or form, that when X is happening with your partner, that you're hoping for their enjoyment in that.
Yes.
Right? And the huge battle between that is, just the betrayal of intimacy and the betrayal of the connection.
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of emotions to process on that end.
And that's the whole, of course, oh my God, he's fucking stunning, right? Yes, of course I want you to have that, right? But there's that, it's the basic, human thing of jealousy or, attachment and all that. But
I think it's uncertainty too.
But
Yes.
loving,
Yeah. Where's
but
this going?
knowing the connection and making sure that connection is the strongest, right? Then that is where you can get the true compersion. So with our friends, I don't know if I'm there yet in our relationship, right? But watching our friends and knowing what their relationship was, they're a troika, right? And
a triad,
and it was really, and and seeing it's impressive, right?
It's a beautiful
it's impressive,
thing, and it
right?
feels like there's this what do you call it? Like an evolution of emotions that goes into doing that. And like if we're talking about, I don't know if it's Hinduism or Buddhism that has all of those different factors where you level up in life, I think that's one of them.
So it's interesting because obviously that's a big twist for me, and it took Mallory a while to really come around to it. 'Cause she's
did.
like, I don't really feel like that about anybody else. I don't look at them that way. So when she started opening herself up to that, it really changed our relationship a lot. It made a situation where she's like, okay, I think I finally have come to this point. I think keto was actually the first time you did.
Absolutely, it was. I was able to compartmentalize the different emotions that go along with sex that aren't identified simply with the relationship, your primary relationship.
Right. I think the story
and the emotions are okay.
And if we're going to talk about our masturbation station sessions, one of the ones that really gets me, it wasn't the act of what she went and did. It was the conversation she had with herself while she was walking to his room. She was walking to his room and she said, I don't think I can perform. I don't think I'm going to get wet. I don't think my girl's going to be on board. And
I was so nervous.
What happened?
It was a mess. Like I'm literally walking back to the room, and it's still because it was so exciting and
it's the exciting part.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's that thrill. You have the thrill in the initial with your spouse, with your partner, with who you're dating,
and it's the pursuing. Sometimes it's more,
and they all go away, and it's like and it is, but it is, and for me, the doing the act at the when we're on vacation or whatever, doing the act is less important about having I have some butterflies, she's into me, oh my God, this is flirty, right? And then I love all that, right? And then and for me most of the time it's then just bringing it back to my partner and giving her all that energy I have. Does happen with others? Yes. Am I not opposed to that? It just needs to be right.
So what kind of shape was your kitty in when you got to the room?
It was ready to go again. I was so excited.
Back.
So I was nervous, butterflies, and then it was very euphoric because I took those emotions and basically dumped them into what we were doing, and it was a very good session. But I came back and I'm still wet and I'm still turned on, and then the dirty talk, and I think we went 5 or 6 times that evening because it was just so
I was like a Saudi drilling for oil. I was doing my best. It was a good time. So it's really interesting, the different levels and the things that we go through as we go through some of these experiences, and they're super hot, and there are things that are turn-ons for us, and I think as couples we want the other person to have a good time, and we want to do the things that turn them on and us on together and separately. So maybe we're filling our spank tank because you and I both travel for a living.
Yes.
So right, so it's like, bring me something, bring me a video, bring me a picture, right? Those are definitely things that get me off. I want to see evidence of what she did. That's super fun for me. But so before we close out this segment, because we're coming up on the half hour, tell us a little bit about I told you to go fast,
right?
But tell us about your favorite lifestyle experience. Is it clubs? Is it house parties? Is it hotel? Is it a resort? I think I know what the answer is, but I want to hear what it is and why it is for our listeners. Your lifestyle experience that you enjoy the most, or is it just dating
by itself through online.
No, my best experience would have been at resorts. There is one that was a house party, but it was with friends that had been at resorts. It wasn't a house party; it was at an on-site premise party in New York City, which was fun, right?
That sounds
cool.
cool.
It was fun, and that was very exhibitionist, right? And it was with really good friends, and we had a blast, right? But as far as things that were like that was really fun and interesting, or unique, or I didn't expect that, it's all happened on vacation at a resort.
I agree. I mean, I would say the same thing, but also my experience is primarily at a resort, a little bit outside of that, just in a private setting, no parties and no clubs or anything like that.
Because we've been at, someone's house and it's been a group of us.
Yes.
And there's this stuff.
So that I enjoy too, because then it's, just the people that you feel closest with, and, things can happen, and it's just, all in fun.
Would you be open to going to a lifestyle club at some point if
I think
the moment
I
arises?
would.
I think
I would. I would try it out. I've always been wary of it just because of, I lived in the Northeast before, and I heard about clubs in Philly and New York, and
the word of mouth wasn't so...
It just sounded like it was kind of dirty, and people are just looking to hook up, and I'm like, I'm not really about that. I'm open to it, if I can have a nice conversation. Almost if you can duplicate that resort feel, then
and do it in a 4 to 6 hour period, right? Where you can,
all right,
all of a sudden make really
clock.
good friends with somebody, and now let's go play. It's hard to do.
Definitely one of the challenges.
It doesn't take a long time to make a connection with somebody, but you feel that pressure when you're at just a club versus you have a week or whatever when you're on vacation to kind of develop something, because I feel like that happens a lot too, that you do meet somebody on vacation, you're like, oh, I'm interested, but maybe both couples are a little shy and don't want to go there, and then by the end of the week it's like, oh shit, we're leaving, and it's and
Friday
then you're
night,
both regretting it. You're like, oh my gosh, we totally would have hooked up with you. We would have hooked up
but
with
you know what? That's how I met, some of my best friends. It's like we met them. It's like, oh, that didn't happen. Oh, and then we saw them again. Oh, we need to exchange numbers, and we just, it's just to see each other. It's really amazing.
And then the thing is, then you get into this place where all you really care about is just seeing your friends again, and you don't even worry about the other stuff, and that comes secondary, if at all.
It's a lesson for life, right? The relationships are the best part.
Yes,
it is.
Not the stuff.
It is.
It's definitely not the stuff. So that's where we're at with the first segment of The Naked Truth. So we're going to go to a break. Mallory, why don't you tell folks where they can find us?
All right, guys. If you're looking for us, you can find us on www.casualswinger.com. And don't forget, you can email us there as well at podcast@casualswinger.com. You can also find us as Casual Swinger on Twitter, Instagram, Cassidy, and SLS.
Absolutely. So we're going to come back here in a quick minute after a break, and we're going to talk about questions from our listeners. We got a question from a listener in our second week that really hit us hard, and we're going to use that to talk in our second segment of The Naked Truth with Frank and Sheila. We'll be right back. You're listening to Casual Swinger.
Welcome back to Casual Swinger, everybody. I'm Mallory.
Yeah, I'm Mickey.
And we're going to discuss a listener question today, and this has to deal with politics, which Mickey did say this is the dirtiest word in the lifestyle, and he's going to get into the listener's question here for you.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really do think this is the dirtiest question that we ask, and not really the dirtiest question, but maybe the dirtiest word in the lifestyle, because it is so divisive. But let's talk about the question from a listener. This came to us over Twitter, and the question is, on a very vanilla trip to Puerto Rico last year, my wife and I hooked up with another couple. It was a messy attempt, as we were all too drunk to adequately perform, but that's a hot mess of another story. Later, we discovered they're on the opposite side of the political fence from where we stand. My question is this. With all the political division going on in our country right now, has political persuasion ever played a part in how you two are connecting with other couples that you've played with or that you've attempted to play with? So that's a big, long question. And Siri apparently didn't want to answer us. But, it's...
Sorry about that, guys.
That's too hard of a question.
Right? Naked
Try
truth.
again
Yeah,
later.
Siri's like, fuck you. We're not talking about politics here. So, but yeah, naked truth, guys. Hey, you're going to get the raw, unfiltered version, including birds and airplanes and everything else here in this backyard, where I'm reminding all of you, we're ass naked answering all these questions.
Hell yeah, we just
So-
got out of the pool. It was great.
Yeah, we took a little pool break, and now we're coming back talking about this. So let's talk political division.
Yeah, I think this is a great question. I think it's come up in many conversations in and outside the lifestyle, and it's important to talk about how to deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be, right? I mean, I'm old enough that I remember it was not considered appropriate. It was poor etiquette to ask somebody how they voted in the last election. It was inappropriate to ask somebody who they vote for. Now, how we feel, how we act, how we treat each other, that's the most important thing to me.
I agree.
And how I see you treat people, how I see you treat waiters and waitstaff and bartenders. And I can tell what kind of person you are by how you treat somebody who's taking care of you, how you treat your wife or your husband.
Yeah,
Those
we all
things
have our
matter.
metrics. Yeah, definitely.
It matters a shitload more to me than who you vote for. But at the same time, some people would say that how you vote is indicative of who you are. So my question for you guys that we want to discuss is, of course, the listener's question. Is this something you guys have run into where political division has interfered with your ability to connect with somebody in the lifestyle? And how do we avoid that?
I wouldn't say it's interfered. It's been a factor in friendships. And I think that's the important thing to remember, that you have a friendship, right? And there can be differences.
Sheila just squirted all over herself while he was trying to say that. So, sorry, guys.
Politics really turned me on.
I think, if you're truly my friend, we can then have a conversation around politics. And, my go-to on whatever we're getting to is like, what's the goal? Not the process. What's the goal? What do we want at the end? And more often than not, we're so close, if not spot on. It's then about the process. And then there's times when, that's, whatever, 11 o'clock in the morning when you're casual and relaxed and what have you. When we're in the middle of a nice party and it's 1 in the morning and somebody brings up, hey, what about this? No, got shouted down by 3 people. We're not doing that, right?
Right.
And it's just like, what's appropriate, I mean, and the level of friendship. We had a bus ride that some guy started on the bus ride.
And this was right after the last presidential election.
And it was crickets.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Yeah, I think people felt very strongly about the 2016 presidential election. I know I certainly did. And it was very strange. Like, it was a couple that was on our same flight, and we all ended up riding together, and then something got brought up politically, and Frank and I just were like, nope, we're not doing this. We're not having this conversation. And the rest of the week, it was actually, I said hi to this couple, and
but I had a reservation with them the rest of the week.
So did it make them less attractive to you?
Absolutely,
well,
it did.
I
It
didn't
did to
find
me.
them attractive to begin with.
But it was like I didn't even. Now I was less interested in even engaging them.
So did it represent like intolerance to you? Or a least likelihood of you guys having that chemistry together as a couple, or
less likely of even chemistry of less like we're good enough to be friends, right?
Okay.
If that, and especially if that's your first thing in our introduction is politics. Yeah, we're probably not going to be friends because that's not my first thing that I ever want to talk about with anybody.
I'm not really
right?
sure how it even went there. I think it was a comment that came up and then blew up into something. And for me, I found it more from the other side that I felt that they were cold to me then, and I tried to just say hi, and it wasn't even like we never talked the rest of the trip.
So would you say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mickey, but I had one question to Frank's point. When you said, let's not talk about the process, let's talk about the goal. Mm-hmm. Do you use that maybe to diffuse some maybe hotter topics where the conversation could go down that rabbit hole and become maybe a little more heated than
arguably, we can
take
a political show, but arguably, most of the country is moderate. right? Most of the country is centrist. Most of the country is understanding, right? Most of the country
Not me.
doesn't have
I'm
a
a
problem.
communist.
Yeah, we know you're a communist.
Most of the country is pretty good with social liberties, even to the LGBT, Q level, they're not, it's not that, and what we see and what we hear and all that. And so if you can cut somebody that has somehow gone left or right, to what's the goal? Right,
It's like a
I go
neutralizer.
a simple thing, gun control, blah blah blah. Guess what? What's the goal? I don't want kids getting killed in school. Good idea. Let's work from
Nobody
there.
wants that.
Let's work from there,
Yeah.
right? Versus you're taking away my rights and all that, because we both agree on that goal.
Sure. So without going into our personal politics, I do want to point out that I picked Frank and Sheila for this segment for a specific reason. We are on opposite ends of the political spectrum on a lot of things, yet here we are with our friends, ass naked, by their pool,
Who we love
having
dearly.
a great time. And that's really kind of part of what I'm getting at here is, does political division have to be the way that it is out there today? Does it have to stop us from enjoying each other on an emotional level, on a physical level? At what point, and to the listener's question, if you've already been with a couple and find out after the fact that there's a huge political delta between the two of you, how do you deal with that?
For me, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times on vacation, we don't talk about these things, and why would we? You know what I mean? What is the point of bringing up stuff that we may disagree about or may agree about or whatever? But who cares? We're on vacation. Let's have a
It's
couple
stressful
drinks.
stuff to talk about regardless.
Right.
And we're on vacation for lots of reasons, but one of them is to not have stress. Right.
So, I mean, I typically am not one of those people to really have these conversations with people I don't know. It's something that I sometimes have conversations with people I do know. For example, last night I was on the phone for 3.5 hours with a good friend that I met at Hedo. And
Far right winger.
Far right winger. I'm a far left winger.
Well, he doesn't. He thinks he is, but he's not. But
Oh, anyway, we won't go there.
That's
But
the argument,
we
right.
actually we talked about we wanted to catch up because it was a long time since we had talked, but also these political things came up, and I'm like, dude, we don't agree. Why are we still talking about this? Because this is a pointless conversation. Some of it actually, I hope I educated him on a little bit of things. He thinks he knows everything about everything, so he thinks he probably taught me everything last night. But we know this about each other. We're great friends, very close friends, and I love him. Even though he's wrong.
So it doesn't diminish his value, to use what you're saying. And I think my statement is it doesn't matter to me.
It increases the value that you can have these,
pointless
conversations, arguments, whatever. You're wrong, and the next time you see him, it's a hug and a kiss, and it's like, how are you, and how are the kids, and what's going on, and let's have some fun. Right.
And I know we've had these conversations with Nikki and Mallory too, and we're not on the same end of the spectrum.
We
We're
don't
not
always
so
align.
far apart, but we talk about things, and it's it's okay, and it's a nice conversation when you know that you still accept the other person
Exactly.
for who they are, and
We've
just
created
as
that
a friendship.
environment for each other.
In my folks' day, it was things that you didn't talk out at a party, politics and religion.
Yes.
You didn't ask somebody who they voted for.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't even ask.
No.
Yeah, it was considered really poor form, right?
Or did you vote? Good. Right? If anything, right? And even that it was expected, right? And that's some of the, the differences that, there was one point in this conversation, it just came back to, it's like when you remove all the clothes, right? And you remove that stuff, you have real conversations
And it's
with
just about
people.
having a good time, typically,
Yes.
Alcohol obviously is a factor. Everyone's a little more loosened up. But also just, the point of it is to have a nice vacation, and that's it. And there are certainly other people that
And that's at
vacation with
Hedo.
us. At a Hedo.
Yeah, because at a lifestyle club, first of all, very rarely, I think, does any of this come up. Right, at a
No, I
lifestyle
doubt
club.
it.
No, because
Right.
it's
You
much
don't
more
have-
task oriented.
Right.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So getting back to kind of really what we talk about here on Casual Swinger, how do we keep this from fucking up our sex? Right? How do we keep this from fucking up our good time with people that we like, that we'd be otherwise attracted to? My feeling on the subject, and we'll go down the line, so we'll start with me, Mallory, Sheila, Frank. My feeling is, don't talk about it. It's not important to the task, right? Which is to meet and enjoy the company of people that you may find out you care about very much. And honestly, if you learn everything else about them, how they choose to press a button isn't important. It's how they choose to spend their time. Are they charitable? Are they kind? Are they good to their kids? Are they good to their wife? Are they good to their friends? When you find those things out, whether or not they love their gun is probably not important to you at that point. Because everything else is more important, and how people treat each other is the most important thing to me. Mallory, what do you think?
I think I have to agree with you on this one. And if it does happen to come up in conversation, say you make good friends with somebody, and it comes up down the road, you've already played, you already have a connection, I think the most important part is to create a positive environment to have those conversations and have tolerance of each other.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Sheila?
I somewhat agree. I will say, having that mutual respect, being able to have that conversation if you choose to, great. But, as I was saying to you earlier, Mickey, before we were on air, I think that the way people vote is somewhat indicative of who they are as a person and what they care about. That's why we vote. It's because we have things that we care about, and we're trying to make it happen, in the rest of the world as well, in our local and state and federal environments. So while I wouldn't say it is going to affect a relationship with another couple or anything like that, it can be something like, for example, that couple that we had, that rode into the resort with us, where it just all of a sudden kind of blew up, and like, why are we doing this?
What he showed is he was an asshole looking for a fight.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
probably
there's
what it
that.
is.
I think there's
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
So-
well, and that's what I think what it can show, even with folks, what I like to take from the political thing, it can happen. Don't force it if you're having a drink and it's whatever, and you want to have that conversation when that person is agreeable, keep respect, and we always should, and we're all naked, right? They know, he knows your ball and your dick size, right? So, you know what? That's out of the picture in the argument, so now bring your facts or whatever. But, the thing is, with even folks of difference in political spectrum, we all enjoy what we're doing right now, right?
We're all within the same community.
And we really enjoy, getting to know people because they're raw and real, right? And I just want to grow from that, right? And that's the together part that, being freaking nudists to lifestylists to swingers to whatever you want to call it is, we're all in this, the hedonism, it's fun. And it's pleasure and it's goodness, right?
Keep it fun.
It's
Yeah.
about goodness.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not about it's
Kindness
it's about
doesn't have a title.
Nope.
No, I
Right.
mean, the thing is, I feel like we really get to know people in this circle, and that can mean a lot of different things. Where you have, social media has made political opinions very public. I think people are much more willing to share about things, again, they care about, which I think is great. Make issues known that maybe other people don't know about, but at the same time, it fosters this kind of fighting mentality where it's one against the other, and
well,
that's
the meme wars are
the
ridiculous.
meme wars,
Yeah.
yes, and so there's that.
Misinformation.
Yeah.
And if you choose to bring things up like that, then keep it civil, and don't let it affect your friendship. You know what I mean? We know somebody who he's like, I don't talk politics on vacation.
Period.
I don't talk politics on vacation.
I don't
Yeah.
talk politics, period,
Yeah.
unless I absolutely have to.
Well,
So-
and maybe a part of that is also identifying that boundary.
Sure.
If the conversation comes up, go, I'm just, like you said, I'm
Right.
just not going to talk politics.
So-
I don't believe that's conducive to our relationship.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
As we come to the end of this segment, because I do want to keep this segment from running too long, because politics aren't sexy and aren't fun, but I do
No.
think that our listener asked that question. I thought it was a really important question, and it's very topical in this world we live in today. The last question I'll ask you guys as my panel is, how do we repair friendships that have been damaged by political differentiation? Right? I mean, when people say, you know what, I'm out. I feel like you don't agree with me, so you suck. Is that something we can fix and continue lifestyle relationships? Maybe not personal relationships, but lifestyle relationships. Does it break? Does it break? And is it something we can get back to? Can we say, hey, you know what, we had a disagreement, but I still care about you. I still like you.
Agreed.
I think we probably shouldn't talk about that. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think lifestyle relationships are personal relationships. They are friendships. And the thing is, it all depends on how you view it. So if you feel like how you vote or how you feel about certain issues is what defines a person, then really, honestly, maybe you shouldn't have been friends with that person in the first place, if you really disagree in that sense. So, I mean, friendship is about having common interests, common ground, and enjoying spending time together.
Yeah.
But if you really feel so differently about things, then sometimes that's just how it is.
Does it change anything if they're a fantastic lay?
Great question.
I mean,
No.
if he's got a big dick and he's really good with it, does it change anything for you, Sheila?
Well, I don't love a big dick anymore. So, if he has a small dick and he's a right winger, all right, let's do it.
How about you, Mel? Big penis, good with it?
Oh yeah, I would never let it become between. It's a friendship and a
The
relationship.
penis come between you? Because
Yeah.
that's the point.
I see what you did there. You're very funny. No, as long as they're of the same mind frame, you agree to disagree. That's okay. It's showing tolerance and respect for each other. No, it would not become, an issue, and I'd be absolutely up to quote unquote repairing a relationship as long as the other party's willing as well.
Okay.
It also depends if you're friends or if you're just fucking.
Right.
Because if you're just fucking and hooking up, then who the hell cares about anything else?
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That's
So,
true.
That's a
And,
good
and for
point.
some people in lifestyle, that is what it's all about.
Yeah.
So if she's got an NRA tattoo on her forehead but can suck start a Harley, you say...
Yeah, I don't know.
Put a bag on your head.
I'm good with that. I'm fine. Right?
Put a hat on her? Is that
a MAGA hat.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
She went there.
Yeah.
She did. So, folks,
All right, guys.
obviously, we love having fun with this stuff, and that kind of brings us to the end of that segment on political division in our country and whether it affects people in the lifestyle. There's a bunch of different opinions here, but one thing I want to point out to you guys is we don't all agree here. Even Mallory and I don't agree on everything, but you have to find a way to come together because if nobody comes, this thing sucks. So we've got to have a good time. Mallory, why don't you tell everybody how they can find us before we come back with a special episode of Mallory and Sheila's
Toybox, yeah.
Tell them where they can find us.
All right, guys, you can find us at www.casualswinger.com. If you'd like to send us an email, it's podcast@casualswinger.com. You can find us as Casual Swinger on Twitter, Facebook, Cassidy, and SLS, as well as Instagram.
We're all over the place, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. We're going to take a quick break and come back with the Toy Box. You're listening to Casual Swinger.
Welcome back to Casual Swinger, everybody. Mickey and I want to thank our special guests today, Frank and Sheila, for joining us. This has been so much fun. Greatly appreciated.
They're giggling like assholes over here.
As usual.
Yeah, during the break they said they'd love to join us again, so we're going to make future plans to have them back as guests. So you guys are joining us for Mallory's Toy Box today, and I'm going to include Miss Sheila in on this. We have a toy here that is a waterproof massager. It's a wand, correct?
It's a wand.
It's a wand, and it's made by a company called Lush. It's a Passion wireless therapeutic massager that's waterproof, and it is described as a wand. This thing comes in many colors, and it's a great little toy. This one was actually discovered a few years ago on a trip. They were giveaways. We used them for a game we called Vibrator Rodeo, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a great time, wasn't it?
I am 3 for 4 for Vibrator Rodeo. That's all I have to say. I win every time except for with one particular person, unfortunately.
And Vibrator Rodeo is coming up here on our next trip.
And
So
I'm
we
hoping
play that at Hedo,
maybe
right?
we can team up and make a comeback this time.
That would be
a
awesome.
comeback. I love it.
Well, I see, very punny today, Nikki. Very, very punny. What I love about this thing is it's not super subcompact, but it's compact enough that it's easy to travel with. Why don't you tell us about your experiences with this? Because this is like your old reliable. This is your favorite
This is my
toy.
third one. I won the first one. I bought a second one, and then I recently dropped it, and the vibrating mechanism moved inside of the shaft of the wand and was not where it was supposed to be. So then I had to buy another one. But I put this thing through the washer by accident. It was with the sheets, and it survived. So that's how waterproof it is. However,
awesome.
it's waterproof, not submersible, because I was harassing people in the pool with it, and then it died after that.
Yeah,
so just keep that
shower
in mind.
play,
Shower
totally
play,
fine.
things like that.
It
But-
wasn't wanton masturbation that broke it. It was
No, it was,
poor
just
care.
Poor care,
Yeah.
Well, shocker. But at the price of $24.95 on Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong.
So this is a budget toy.
This is absolutely
It is a value
It's a value
toy.
toy.
Very much
You get
so.
so much for your
Yes.
money. And for me, I like a vibrator I like on. I don't like the settings. There's like 10 different settings on it or something.
Which I like, but like you said, you can just turn it on and go.
And I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So I love this thing.
What do you
Well,
love
on
about
11,
the
you
design
like
of
it
it?
on
Because you were
11.
telling me about the head
She's
of
a
it.
horsepower girl.
Yeah. It's not on. It's on plus. Is there another plus? Hopefully there's 2 pluses.
Yeah.
And then
And-
she might be happy.
Well, and I feel like there used to be 2 additional speed settings to it, but maybe that changed or something like that. Because I also remember it was smooth all the way, and now it has this like quilted look to it. But there's 3 buttons. There's on, there's power, and then there's the different settings as well.
Like the pulsing,
pulsing
vibrations
or,
and
you
stuff.
know.
But you were telling me there's a one that's very similar to this. It's called a Shibari. It's about $10 to $20 more. And I think the biggest difference between the 2 of these is the head.
Yes.
The continuity of
so
the head.
what I
yeah.
really like about this one is actually that it's not so flexible. The Shibari, we gave away the mini Shibari Halos, I believe they're called.
Uh-huh.
And it was fine. I liked it, but
Mm-hmm.
the head was actually a little too flexible, and I felt like I couldn't target it where I wanted it.
Right, and I've noticed with some toys, if they are too flexible, you can't get that additional pressure
Yes.
that you're looking for. Because
Yes.
I am also a power queen, but I'm also a pressure queen.
Yes, agreed.
So
As are you. Yes.
yeah,
As am I.
yeah,
Yes,
and
so-
this is a great thing. It's totally rechargeable. How long do you think it stays charged for?
Oh, a long time. I
Like
mean,
how many uses? Because
What do you mean by use?
with our sessions or
I'm
her
usually-
sessions,
I'm usually let's
3
take
is
it-
a stretch, but
Yeah.
it can do 3.
Okay, and you guys have pretty long sessions.
They can
so-
be they can be long sessions.
Well, and I
but-
unfortunately have started taking longer to have my first orgasm, which I'm very upset about. But it lasts, and I think part of it is probably, I don't know if this is a plus or a minus, but I feel like when you first turn it on, it has more power, and then it loses juice a little bit, but it's still very strong. The other thing, this is not for this toy in particular, but I think I've noticed that I start getting a little numb when
I think
I'm
it's-
over vibrating.
Yeah, I've taken 5 to 10 second pauses in between,
Yes,
and that
yes.
definitely helps.
It makes
just a little
huge
tip out
difference. Yeah, because otherwise you're just going, and you're like, I feel great, but this is not getting me
Progressing.
to where I
It's
need
not
to
climbing
go.
the mountain.
Yeah.
So I've been doing the same thing where I do the on and off
Yeah.
thing, and you have to accept that you're not getting your orgasm right now, but it's still
Still gonna be good when it
gonna
comes
be
along.
amazing. And the nice thing is with this one, we know so many people who have them.
Everyone who's tried this has seemed to love it.
Love it.
I mean,
and
because it's
I
like,
get it for everybody that I know.
It's a great stocking stuffer.
It's a great stocking stuffer. It
For
fits
the
us-
right people. Yes. But,
Yes.
okay.
But now I have 3 charging cables for it because I on my third one.
That's
which
awesome.
is
Yeah, there's
great
one
to
in the
have.
car.
There's one in the car.
And I love-
I've had that before.
I love that it's a silicone cover, so it's easy to clean,
Yes.
easy to sanitize.
Yes.
It doesn't collect like fuzz. Have you ever thrown it in the bag or the drawer before, and like some of them just collect all
Yep.
this like
No, this one's
extra
nice.
lint? This one does not.
No, it's very sleek. It comes with a little baggie, it fits
Yes, a
right
carrying
in.
case.
And
Yeah,
you
like a little carrying bag.
And you can put the charger in there as well. It's fantastic. But I bought it for friends of mine going through divorces. I'm like, here, honey, try this. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is so great.
It's also great because it's also another compact one that's good enough for group or
Yes, use with
double
a partner.
play. Yes.
Absolutely. So I know I've used it that way before. It's kind of awkward with any kind of toy to kind of use it with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I think. It's small enough, though, because it's not like a Hitachi where it has the giant head.
Yeah,
You
I do love my Hitachi. Don't get me wrong, but
I
I mean
know.
for me that's not a group play. That's a
No,
solo play.
that's just by yourself. And
Yeah.
the Hitachi is nice because you have different attachments you can use. This is just a one-time deal. However, it's fantastic. It is my go-to every single time. I don't want to use anything else. I have many toys, and I'm always going with this one. And it's also, nice, like I said, with a partner. Your partner can feel a little bit too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I'm
endorse it as well.
So at $25, this is a big winner.
This
This is
is
a
huge.
huge
It's huge.
winner.
huge winner.
You know.
It's got
Quality,
the feel.
performance, value, and satisfaction.
And we take a couple dozen of these things to Hedo with us. We give them away as prizes. We use them for vibrator rodeo. Everybody gets their own, so everybody's a winner, right? Who is not a winner when you get a free vibrator and an orgasm?
Thank you.
Or a broken toe.
Or a broken toe. That was your fault for squirting. I did break a toe when I saw it. That's a true story for another time, guys. So do you have anything else to add? Tell people where they can find it.
Okay, we're gonna post a link to this toy with the podcast, but it's made by a company called Lush. It's the Passion Wireless Therapeutic Massager Waterproof Wand. I know that's a mouthful. Again, we will post this. It comes in many colors. Sometimes the colors, especially if you're buying in a warehouse subsidiary like an Amazon.com or something like that, they may differ by color, but it's the same product regardless.
Yes. And I know for certain it comes in black, purple, and pink.
Yep.
Purple seems to be the winning color for our group of people, at least. So, make sure you label your vibrator.
Right.
Or be okay with
Like your
sharing.
mom used to do with your underwear when you
Yeah.
went to camp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of different colors there. So, well, I think that about...
Waterproof writing, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
waterproof, right.
Make sure you use a Sharpie.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, right? This is our first time doing an interview segment. We wanted to bring somebody on here that not only served our listener questions, but maybe looked at it, the lifestyle from a different angle than we do, right? Because like you said, you're not necessarily lifestyle, or not necessarily swinger, but you are lifestyle, so you definitely do, see things from a different perspective. We really appreciate you guys coming on with us and hosting us in your backyard to do this today. This is definitely different for us, but I know Mallory and I both had a good time. And reminder for Naked Truth, we're all ass naked for this whole thing right
Thank you
now,
very
so-
much.
I love boobies.
I do too. I've had some beautiful titties. And more importantly, on our Twitter feed and our Instagram feed, pay attention because I took some pictures today, guys. So, yeah, this is going to
Well,
be some
all
good
I can
stuff.
say is that it was my pleasure.
You have been masturbating the whole time we've been sitting here. so-
On and off, guys.
During the breaks.
Yeah.
the key.
Another
During the
testament to Toya to how quiet it is.
Yes.
Right, she's been having a good time. So, if you guys are looking for us, you can find us at www.casualswinger.com. You can send us an email at podcast@casualswinger.com. We're on SLS. We're on Cassidy and
Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We're
oh my
everywhere.
Gosh, we're Casual Swinger all over the place. We can't thank you guys enough for joining us for our interview, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. We're headed for Hedo, right, guys?
Woohoo! Let's do it.
Hell yeah. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.